And we are live. Good morning, everyone. We are gathered once again for a live forum being brought to us by Control Union Academy Philippines. Control Union Academy is the platform where we provide training services and a series of free public forum showcasing the different services that Control Union provides. In this session, we will be having once again a very interesting topic, which is about collateral services. We will explore different solutions that we offer, including the technology that we use. We will also discuss how our services are tailored to match the specific needs of our clients. So, no matter how small or big is the scale of your business, our collateral management services will still benefit you. To those who are watching us live today, thank you very much for being with us. May I also ask that you like our page and share this forum so that we could reach more people. Yeah, who knows, somebody somewhere would need our services. And by the way, if you have questions related to our topic, you may use our chat box in later in our Q&A portion, and then we will try to answer them all. And I'm very excited to introduce to you. We are joined by our colleagues from Control Union Collateral Services in Netherlands. First, we have Manuel Piero, the managing director, and Ruben Engelhardt, the supervisor for compliance and administration. Guys, we appreciate you being here. I know it's too early in the morning from where you are, guys, right now. So it's 3 a.m., right?
Yes, it's
How are
early.
you guys?
That is correct. All good, all
Yeah,
good. Having
Yes,
a
doing
great
well.
time.
yeah.
Thank you for the kind invite. It's a real pleasure for both of us being here. A very nice start of our year of growing our future together. So happy to being part of this project from Philippines. Thank
Okay,
you very
yeah.
much again.
Thank
Yes,
you
thank
too
you
for
very
joining
much.
us. And my name is Wilson Mateo from Inspections Department, and I will be your host for today's forum. But before we proceed with our discussion about collateral services, I would like to give you a brief overview of our company and its operations. As you can see, Control Union is a family-owned, non-listed company that was established in Netherlands in 1920. After a more than 100 years, we are now in over 70 countries with more than 4,000 employees globally. And as we celebrated our 100 years anniversary last 2020, a royal designation was awarded to us by the Dutch monarch. So this distinction symbolizes respect, trust, and appreciation over Control Union's contribution. Our company can offer services from end to end of the trade. We do commodity logistics, energy logistics, collateral services, which we will further discuss in a while. We also have certifications, industrial and commodity inspections. In the Philippines, we have been offering certification services since 2009. For the past years, we also have been focusing our resources on commodity inspections. We are ISO 17020 accredited and a FOSFA and GAFTA approved superintendent. And what our clients normally require are representations during load and discharge of their goods. So part of it is making sure that the storage compartments and warehouse facilities are clean and appropriate to receive their commodities. We also do several quantity verification and surveys like stock inventory of solid and liquid bulk. We also handle various commodities ranging from liquid items like cane molasses, edible oils. We also have ores and minerals, animal feeds, fresh fruits, and a lot more. Last year, we did a lot of liquid inspections, from loading discharge to spot checks of oil and cane molasses. Last year, combined, we had around 100,000 metric tons of liquids inspected. And that's it for the introduction. And as I give the floor to our collateral services team, may I ask what is collateral management services, or CMS? And can you give us a brief background of your operations? Perhaps Manuel can answer this question.
Of course,
Manuel?
yes. I can start with a brief description of what the collateral services are. The collateral management services are basically a tool defined to support the trade finance operations. Support by means of risk mitigation. So in every trade finance operation, you have a part that it's taking a risk by means of being a buyer or a financier. You have a part that represents a risk by means of a seller or a borrower. And you have a third party, us, the trusted party, that it's in between, finding the balance to make everybody comfortable with the risk that the operation represents. The operation can represent different kinds of risk. Can be because local risks of a certain country, can be risks associated to the credit capacity of the borrowing part, can be a risk associated to the logistics or warehousing conditions of the commodities. And we as collateral managers have the capacity or the capabilities to provide services in a way that we can make all the parties comfortable with the risk. In which parts of the supply chain do we participate? If we can move to the next slide. Well, we basically offer what we call the accessory services activities at the discharge of the cargo by means of draft surveys, weighing and sampling and reporting. And once the cargo is on the warehousing premises, we can start executing our collateral services by checking the storage conditions, doing extensive warehouse inspections, controlling intakes and outtakes, sealing, monitoring cargo, taking samples, and reporting on different variables such as temperature and humidity. We have different levels of collateral services that we will be exploring in a couple of slides.
Yeah, thank you for that overview, Manuel. We can see there are two major services under this program. But what are their differences? And can they also be tailored to match the specific needs of a client? Ruben?
Yes, well, I can definitely address this. Yeah, so like Manuel said, there are different types of risks associated to different types of operation. Connected to this are also basically two main types of collateral services. The first one is SMA, which is called stock monitoring agreement. And the second one, the more hard structure, is the CMA, or the collateral management agreement. The main difference between these two is basically whether you monitor, so whether the stock monitor is in place or whether a collateral manager is in place. And in that case, you basically take custody of the cargo. Of course, these services can be tailor-made, as most services in life are. But the difference is definitely in the fact that for the collateral management agreement, Control Union actually leases a warehouse and is on site 24/7. For an SMA, you can have a 24/7 SMA, so a monitoring structure in place, but we usually have a weekly monitoring period or a monthly check. So we go to the warehouse, we check if the cargo condition is still okay, if the quantity is okay. We can also do quality checks. We can do different types of warehouse inspection as well. But we do it in a different periodicity than for a CMA. And for a CMA, we are on site 24/7. Of course, in order to determine this, we have to do some sort of an analysis, right? So that's also why Control Union is our trusted party. So this is the initial assessment. We do this over 3 items, basically. The first one is the debtor evaluation. So we check the character, the track record, the financial and economic status of the borrower, and all of the points that you see mentioned here in the slide as well. Second part of this, also the storage location. As you can imagine, this is a very important item, right? So you have the cargo that's stored in a certain warehouse, could be in the middle of nowhere in the desert, could also be in a very busy port area. So different situations, different risks associated to that. So we check the physical aspects, security and safety. We do quality control. So we check whether there's fumigation or ventilation if that's necessary for the cargo, for instance, for grains. And we also check the legal aspects. So who owns the warehouse? Is there free access? And throughout the warehouse, can we actually go to the places that we are supposed to monitor? And we also do a product evaluation. So we check, okay, what's the expertise that we have actually on this product? For instance, if you have steel ingots or if you have grain, that's a totally different product. So it's a different type of project that we need to set up. We also check, of course, whether the insurance that we have in place, if that's correct for the type of product that we have on site. So yeah, if you could go to the next slide, we can definitely tailor make the services. And there are also different types of SMA that you can have. So you can see here on the slide, you have the spot checks, which are a more light SMA, as we call it. So the inspection can be done on request of the client. So it's not done every week or every month. But basically, when the client calls us and says, hey, we would like you to do an inspection tomorrow or the next week in France. For the normal SMA, you would have a fixed warehouse. So the client would say, we want you to go to a warehouse in Germany, for instance, and we want you to check there every week. We want you to check every month. We want you to check the quantity, the quality, the sampling. We want you to do sampling. There's a lot of different structures that you could have. And the CMA, like I told you, is a more rigid structure. So our role is really to custody the cargo. So we are the agent of our client on site 24/7.
Okay. Thank you, Ruben, for the clear explanation.
Yes,
I
you're very welcome.
remember some 2 years ago, Control Union Philippines did a stock monitoring service for a global trader of sugar. We actually supervised a total of 6,250 metric tons or 125,000 bags of sugar. So we were there at the warehouse when containers arrived, and we fully supervised the unloading. And we also monitored the release of sugar from the warehouse, and we made sure that nothing comes out without the approval of the client. Now, may we
Correct.
know who are the people involved in managing and executing such operations, and what do they do specifically? Can you take this one again, Ruben?
Yes, definitely. So yeah, we have, of course, a certain structure in place to make sure that this whole collateral process in the countries that we execute collateral is done correctly. So we have two collateral desks. One is basically here in the Netherlands, in Rotterdam. That's also, of course, why we joined this call. We have a local expertise of collateral. Manuel has been doing collateral for how long has it been already, Manuel? I think it's a long time already.
Oh yeah, more than 9 years now.
Yeah.
So it's been a while.
Yeah, exactly.
Started-
And you've
started-
also done collateral in South America, correct?
Yeah, I started back in Uruguay, my homeland. Worked together with our Latin American team over there, also in different types of commodities with mostly agricultural commodities, but also we developed a nice project with livestock, very interesting. And and then moved to the Netherlands 3 years ago as an operations coordinator, and now with you guys managing the collateral desk from Rotterdam, overseeing the activities in EMEA and APAC.
Yeah, so that's a very good point. So the collateral desk here in Rotterdam, we oversee the collateral services in EMEA and APAC regions. And we also have a collateral desk in Buenos Aires, who oversees the Americas. So any collateral services done there are coordinated and executed and supervised via that office. Here in the Netherlands, how we do it, we have the collateral desk here in Rotterdam. We are connected to the risk committee, which is an entity above us, really trying to focus on the risks associated to collateral. So anytime there is a CMA, they have to approve the CMA. They will do a risk assessment based on the structure, based on the details that we provide them. We're also connected to our legal team that helps us with the contracting procedures, basically doing all kinds of legal checks. And we have the auditing team. So every year we do audits for the offices that are doing collateral services. In the local structure, you have the CMS coordinators on site in the different countries. And they basically are our contact, and they supervise the supervisors who then supervise the inspectors or the surveyors on site. So
Ruben, what's the difference? Excuse me, what's the difference between the supervisors and inspectors?
Well, the supervisors are basically more the more experienced personnel. So we also call them senior surveyors or senior inspectors. They've been with the company for a long period already, and they know the ins and outs of the collateral services. The inspectors or the surveyors, they are more junior, as it were, and they have to be supervised. They have to be trained as well. So this is the way we do that with a senior junior system. Okay, then if we could go to the next slide, you can also see that we have a worldwide presence. Like I told you, the collateral desks here in Rotterdam, and then the collateral desk in Buenos Aires. For the offices doing collateral, most offices that we have could basically do collateral as long as they are also aware of the inspections service, and they are aware of those requirements. So SMA we can really do worldwide. CMA is a little bit of a different structure. Like I told you, Control Union basically takes custody of the cargo. We lease the warehouse. So as you can imagine, there are a lot of procedures in place, and it requires a little bit more experience. So the locations that we can provide it straight away are Argentina, Brazil, Egypt, Indonesia, Morocco, Paraguay, Turkey, and Uruguay. Some of the other offices might become available later on as well, but as you can imagine, there's a setup process that is required. But of course, if any client is interested in CMA or SMA, definitely just reach out to us, and we can see how we can set up a good working structure for you based on the risks associated.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Ruben. Okay,
You're welcome.
we have gone through the process. And we also talked about the experts behind the CMA. Can you now share the technologies or tools that are being used in monitoring and verifying the commodities under this program? Perhaps Manuel can help us on this.
With great pleasure.
Thank you.
Yes. Well, smart solutions. The collateral desk, both collateral desks in Buenos Aires and in Rotterdam, and the Control Union approach towards the future is that the future of collateral services is strictly related to the implementation of new technologies, and in this regard, we've been building partnerships with different stakeholders in the past years. By stakeholders, I mean universities, very well-known universities, very well-known tech providers and solution providers, and we've been working basically in developing new technologies, but also in readapting existing technologies to our line of services, so we can be more efficient and more transparent in the execution of our services. The first one that we have are the volume determination technologies. We have basically two main solutions. I'll first give a little background on the traditional methods for those that are not really familiar with the traditional method. In the traditional method, when you want to estimate the weight of a pile of cargo, you have to first do a volume assessment of the pile. So you have to find a way to somehow translate the shape of the pile into a geometric figure. You calculate the volume of this geometric figure. Volume times density will give you an estimation of the weight. The challenge of the traditional method is that you will be doing this with a measuring tape or with a single point laser. So when you have a very irregular shape on a pile, it will be really, really challenging to get a very representative, a good representation of this shape. So in my junior years, we used to take like 8 to 10 hours to do the measurements on field, and then another 8 to 10 hours to do the stitching all the dots together in the office at the desk and do the calculations. Now we have the Voltec, this fancy laser gun that you can see over there. The Voltec was developed together with one of the universities here in the Netherlands. It's based on LiDAR technology and can measure 300 points per second. So it's basically doing a 3D mapping of the environment, and you can get a very accurate volume estimation of the shape of your pile in 15 to 30 minutes. So it's a very, very nice improvement. It's also tamper-proof based on blockchain concepts. That means that you cannot basically add points to the pile, so you cannot create more volume than you scanned. Gives you GPS location, time and date, so you know that the inspection was performed in a certain time in a certain place. And for outdoor piles, we are also using drones with the principle of photogrammetry. So basically, what we do is to take several pictures in a certain manner with a certain method of a pile, and we have a software that it's building a 3D model with these pictures, and we again calculate the volume times density will give you an estimation of weight.
Let me also tell you, Wilson, this is very easy to use. And when I started here almost 2 years ago, when we first started to do a scan with the Voltec, I had to get acquainted with the technologies that we have as well. I was amazed. I was really blown away by how easy it actually is to use and how accurate you see the 3D model on the computer when you start processing. That's a very nice and interesting thing to do as well.
Yeah, it's a big step from the conventional method that we have been using.
Yes,
so this technology
definitely.
is really great, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's
Yeah,
a leap forward.
And for those clients that are seeing us live now, I would highly recommend to if you want to see this technology, ask for a showcase, because it's a different impression. One thing is the guy from Rotterdam doing the presentation here, but a completely different impact is to see the technology working on field. Another solution, well, the smart seals, of course, of high importance for collateral services. Well, we now are able to basically lock warehouses, keep logs on who is opening or locking a seal, and of course get real-time alarms. If somebody cuts one of these seals, we will get an immediate alarm and we'll be able to take actions. We have seals with GPS trackers as well. So for the transport periods, you can basically set a route for the truck driver or for the barge to follow. And if they deviate from this route, we will also get an alarm and be able to take actions. So again, on the basis of mitigating risk. The next solution, it's TIMO, temperature monitoring. This is a solution that we've been using in the Netherlands for the past 10, 12 years. We have very, very good experience with this. It's a solution that the name says it's for tracking temperature in real time, so you can basically mitigate risks of quality losses and eventually quantity losses. Amazing tool for decision making on stocks managing. So when do you need to move your stocks? Which parcels do you want to remove first? So you can basically see the trends on the evolution of the temperature and make better decisions. And the last solution that we have on this presentation
excuse me, Manuela, I can see that the TIBO also has a gas detection feature, right?
Yes.
So somehow you would be able to know or identify whether there are insects inside the certain storage, right?
You are completely correct. Yes, it helps, of course, to by gas detecting to determine other variables on field, like you will said, insect presence. But it also helps on of course keeping our staff safe when they do inspections. So we know
Definitely.
that some gas levels are high, so we need to ventilate before doing a field inspection. And yeah, the last technology would be the VR lenses. We are basically able to send this device with one of our surveyors on field and give our clients a real feeling of what's going on during the inspection. This was very useful during, of course, the pandemic times. When travel was restricted. So yeah, we've been using it for these purposes, but also for internal purposes. So let's say that when you need to participate an expert on a certain commodity, and your expert happens to be on the other side of the world, you can basically call him in by using this technology, and he can get a real feeling of what's going on field. So you can get an assessment on a tank, on a warehouse, on a certain commodity. A very nice experience that we had at the end of last week. We are moving our lab here, TLR, in Rotterdam. It's moving from one location to the other, and unfortunately, one of the technicians that was working on the move, he tested positive in Corona. But he was still feeling okay. so he said like, hey, why don't we use HoloLens? We just put the HoloLens on one of the guys that can still be at the lab, and me from home, I will be guiding on the execution of the job. So it was a very nice experience as well.
Yeah, that's great. We can really see how technology is becoming a vital part of the solution. But
Yeah.
Manuel, can you give us a glimpse of the market and what's in store for the CMS in the years to come?
Yes, of course, of course. Well, market. As you all know, commodity prices are continuing to rise due to high demand and now inflation as well. Challenging logistics. The risk perception it's still affected by fraud cases, by the pandemic, by the travel restrictions, and the different consequences of the pandemic, and we also saw a more, let's say, fragmented market in the past years, because some major names on the trade finance step out of the business, and that left an empty gap there for medium-sized players to look for new opportunities. So, this combination of these risks makes it, of course, an interesting market for us, because the perception of risk is it's moderate to high in a way. So yeah, we truly believe that we can be of assistance on this to try to mitigate these risks, and our plans are to continue to do so by strengthening our ties with our internal and external stakeholders. So with our clients, keep the communication dynamic. Try to look for more tailor-made solutions. We are here to bring solutions, not to limit to standard services, but to look for ways of cooperating with our internal stakeholders, our colleagues, of course. Try to keep as well the communication as closer as possible. Keep developing new businesses, new services. Keep learning together and cooperating. Locally in the Netherlands, we will have a high focus on spot checks, spot verifications. Why? Because of this risk evaluation that Ruben was presenting to you guys. The level of risk in the Netherlands is still quite low, so the level of collateral required is also quite flexible. So that's a market that we intend to develop here. And of course, as I said on the previous slides, we truly believe that the future of collateral services is strictly linked to technologies. So we need to keep developing new solutions, implementing new technologies, and listening to our clients on how we can better serve them.
Yeah, definitely we can see a bright future for CMS. But do you have some social media pages that you can share with us so we can follow more of your activities?
Yes, of
Definitely.
course.
If you go to our LinkedIn, definitely you can see that we are quite active, posting every week. I would also like to invite people to follow us. And also, if you have any questions or you want to know anything, just reach out. We're always available. We can always help you. So don't be afraid to follow us on LinkedIn or any
Of course.
other source. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you, Manuel and Ruben, for sharing all of this information. Your presentation has provided everyone an overview of the CMA, including its process, its technologies. And I hope our audience also found this very interesting as much as I did. We now have come to the part where we will answer some questions that will be sent or were sent through our live chat. So let's see if somebody from our live audience have questions regarding the presentations that we did today.
That would be very nice.
Let me just check. We have one question from John Obias. He asks, is the Voltec device available for purchase? Manuel, are we selling it?
No, we are not selling it. we are providing the services with the 3D solution, but we can definitely. I mean, don't hesitate to reach out, John. We can look for a nice structure where we can provide you these services and you feel comfortable with it. You don't have to buy the solution.
Okay, and let's see if there's some more questions. How about the accuracy of this device, and how is it affected by some factors?
Well, the accuracy of the device is as I mentioned on the slide, it's 3 centimeters in 120 meters. That's the accuracy of the LiDAR sensor on it. You are completely right to ask about the different conditions because, well, normally when we are required to assess a stock of cargo, the cargo is of course already on the warehouse, so you are measuring the volume of the shape of the pile, but not in all cases we have the opportunity to first scan the empty warehouse to get also a references of the floor level. So so all the type of variables can affect the final accuracy of the volume calculation. But so far, the maximum deviation that we had in volume, it's 3%, which is considerably low for volume estimations.
Yes, definitely.
Okay,
I was
thank you for
also
that.
thinking about we did an in-house test here some time ago.
Yeah.
So we scanned basically a shipping container which has a certain regular shape, of course, so you know how much cargo can be in there. So we scanned it with the Voltec. We did the normal manual calculation to see how much metric ton would be in this, or how much cargo would be in this in the shipping container. We also tested it with the Voltec, with the we also scanned it with a drone. So we did a drone flight over the container as well.
With a
And we
total
also
station.
a total station, yes. And
Yeah.
in all cases, the LiDAR gun that we have, the Voltec, and the drone were a lot more accurate than the total station. So that's a quite interesting finding, I think.
Yeah.
So it's a good opportunity to really look into these technologies. I think it's now the right moment to look at these technologies more and to start to develop this more as well. Start using this more in different countries and really expand this type of tool.
Yeah, sounds good. We have another question from our live audience, care of Angel Flores. Angel, thank you for this question. She asks, on the Control Union website, there is also mentioned crop monitoring. Why is it not mentioned in the presentation? So she's quite keen with our presentation, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, well, crop monitoring is a service that we are currently offering in Latin America. So, well, we basically what we do is to follow up on the pre-finance of the different crops. We are also using technologies for this type of service. We are using satellite imagery, but also drone technologies. So we are basically able to recognize, well, let's say that a farmer receives some finance during the harvest, and they start harvesting earlier. We will be able to notice this and inform the financier that part of the crop is already being removed. So those are the crop monitoring services that we are offering. Again, can be adjusted to the necessities of the different stakeholders.
Yeah, another question from Justin. What does movement mean? Uh, yeah, that's his question. What does movement mean?
Movement.
Well, it can mean a lot of things, of course. What we are specifically looking at for collateral services, what you want to ensure is that there's no movement of the cargo unless the client specifically says that it's supposed to move, of course. So that's something we definitely can check for a 24/7 SMA structure or a CMA structure. We are there 24/7, so we can see if the cargo is being moved. Of course, we immediately report this to the client, and we try, even in the case of a CMA, that something like that could not happen because we actually lease the warehouse. This is, of course, a little bit more difficult when you have a regular SMA structure, so you monitor weekly, monthly, or quarterly. So if you feel, as a client, you feel that there's less risk associated to a certain operation, you can go a little bit lighter, of course. So you go for the SMA.
Okay, I can see another question with regards to the accuracy rate of Voltec. This was answered a while ago.
Yeah.
Another question is from Lani Valmonte. It's you have to listen to this. It's quite long, huh? So she asks, what does the spot check include? Does it include only quantity checks or quality as well? And if it includes the quality as well, wouldn't it be good to include some examples of parameters which we can test at the location? Anyone?
Yes, yes. Well, basically, the stock verification, the scope of the stock verification can be again tailor-made depending on the necessities of the client and the risks that they recognize on their operation. So it can go from a very basic stock verification that can be depending on the type of commodity, can be counting units, assessing volume determination of dry bulk, or assessing volume determination of liquid bulk. We can also do a warehouse inspection with a storability score saying like, well, listen, the warehouse that you're working is meeting all your expectations, or we saw some risks related to the handling of the stocks, or some risks related to the structure of the warehouse, or related to security on the warehouse. And in terms of quality, well, it depends on the type of product. As I already mentioned, we have a laboratory on our group that can attend basically a high variety of different kinds of products. So it's a matter of determining what are the parameters that you want to measure, and we can take a representative sample to meet your expectations. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. Angel says, thank you for your answer. Thank you, Angel. We hope that we've answered your question well.
Thank you.
We also have this a new question from Eagle Sniper by the name of Clifton. So he asks, normally, how do you determine the density of the product? Will client provide the density to compute the weight, or we measure the density by ourselves?
Yeah, that's a very good question. There, of course, both situations can occur. So either we get the bulk density from the client or the storage facility, or we do a sampling of the bulk density ourselves. It's important to note, of course, when you want to determine the quantity of cargo, especially, of course, for bulk piles, you have two variables. So you have the volume and you have the bulk density. And if you do the bulk density times the volume, you get the quantity in metric tons. It's very important to note that the variable of volume can be controlled via these technologies that we have, like the Voltec or the drone. But the bulk density is something that's often disregarded a little bit. So the client provides us with an old bulk density figure sometimes, or the warehouse has a certain bulk density figure that was tested a long time ago. You can imagine if you have a pile of grain in a warehouse somewhere and a lot of trucks pass by, that it shifts a little bit, it collapses in a little bit, so the bulk density changes. Maybe some cargo is being moved to a different location. All kinds of variables are happening all the time. So
Yeah.
if you want to have a very accurate result, it's good to have the bulk density tested on site. I think that's the best method of getting a good accurate
Yeah,
result.
it's definitely one of the parameters that we can sample and test on laboratory as well.
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
and I think what's important is that both parties are agreeing on what method do we
Exactly.
use for
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, of course.
Exactly.
identification
Yeah.
of density. Thank
Exactly.
you for that question, Eagle Sniper. We have another one from Miss Raquel. She asks, what does time efficient mean? Does it refer to the time it takes to perform the stock check until the documents are ready?
Yeah, definitely. Well, time efficient, it's in general, as I said, measuring a pile with the traditional method can take 8-10 hours easily. And now with the technologies that we are using, we are able to determine the volume in half an hour. So that makes us more time efficient and makes the whole operation more time efficient. That means that we are also less time disrupting, let's say, the operation of the warehouse when they need to work around the cargo. We don't have to be working around the cargo as well. So sometimes in order for us to be able to determine to do a stock assessment, the warehouse needs to stop the operations on that part of their warehouse for us to be able to work safely. So that's why time efficient is a key variable in our execution.
Yeah, I
Yes,
agree.
and it
In,
also
ter- in
also
terms of
depends a little bit.
reporting, sorry, Ruben. Yes,
Sorry.
please.
Yeah, it also depends a little bit on the type of tool that you use. So if you use the Voltec or the drone, there's a little bit of a difference there. I'm not sure which is actually faster. It also depends on the size of the pile. So for instance, with the Voltec, if you want to do a very large pile, you can imagine the surveyor has to scan the whole pile, so that takes a little bit longer. But
Yeah.
it's a lot faster than doing it the traditional way. With the
Yeah.
drone, it's really, really fast. Yeah.
Yeah.
Think about the reporting,
Yeah,
Manuel?
something.
Yeah. Well, in terms of reporting, if you, for instance, if you want the temperature checks, well, we'll still have to send a but if you're using temperature monitoring solution, you can basically enter
Oh, yeah.
with your web user and get your
Yes.
report immediately, and you can basically set the reports to be sent to you with a certain periodicity, and you will receive them
Yeah, and it's actually this.
by request.
Yes, actually,
Yeah.
it's actually also the same with the smart seals. Now that I remember,
Yeah.
we had one time you get real time information. Listing the smart tools at our office, so we hooked them around a leg of our table, and then in the middle of the night we got a message on our phone. So I woke up, I looked at my phone, I saw a message that someone was tampering with the locks, and it turned out to be the cleaners at the office. So that's how fast it is. It's real time information.
Yeah.
It's interesting what technology can bring you.
Yeah, thank you. Another question from Danny Goy. I think this person looked upon our website. He asked or she asks, On the Control Union website, it says that the collateral service is available in 70 countries instead of 75, which is written in the presentation. Which one is it? White Queen, huh? King. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, as we said, we have. I honestly don't have the count on how many offices or in how many countries we are present right now, because our group is quite big, and it's developing day by day.
Growing
So
every
we are,
day.
yeah, growing every day. I do know that well, for the hard collateral, the CMA, as Ruben explained on that particular slide, we can offer only in certain countries because very particular conditions need to be met in order to offer those services. For the SMA services, it's something that we can definitely evaluate and provide in any of the countries where
Yes.
we have a presence.
Yeah, definitely. And the thing is also, if there's a control union office in one country and the country next to it, the client wants to have an SMA, that's definitely a possibility. I mean, here in the Netherlands, we often go to Belgium or Germany to do a stock check. I mean, it's geographically speaking, it's not that far away. It's definitely possible. Sometimes you can also think of structures where we send the HoloLens or some similar tool that we can use for our on-site presence, so we can fly in the expert digitally, as it were. So that's definitely a very large area that we can service.
Yeah, yeah. Eagle Sniper says, thank you. Thank you also, Eagle, for your question a while ago. We have another one here from Muhammad. Good morning, Muhammad. He asks, are the volume determination recognized by any accreditation body?
Well, we are working with the ISO 17020 standards. The challenging part of these new technologies is that, well, it's how to say, it is challenging to get these new technologies accredited by let's say a lab, because the technologies are so new that it's very difficult to test the 3D mapping technologies. But what we have are our certified procedures, and we have a proof of accuracy of the different technologies.
Okay. John says, thank you. John, you are very welcome. Okay, I think there's no more questions at the moment from our live audience. And that brings us to the end of this live event. Anyways,
Okay.
yeah. Anyways, if you have questions later on about what we have discussed today, you can send us a message. And for those who missed this live session, you can watch it again in your most convenient time by visiting our social media accounts. We are active in LinkedIn. We have Facebook. We have YouTube for whatever suits you. And finally, of course, I want to thank our speakers for today, Mr. Manuel Teero and Mr. Ruben Engelhardt.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you have been very generous by sharing not only your time, but also most of the things or information that we need to know about collateral management services. I know it's too
Thank
early
you
for
very
you guys,
much.
but thanks a lot.
Thank you very much for the
Thank
kind
you
invitation.
as well, and the local team as well for having us, inviting us. It was a pleasure.
And to everyone who joined us in the entire program, thank you. Keep safe and see you again soon for another public forum by Control Union Academy. And this has been your host, Wilson Mateo, saying always face the day with a grit. And goodbye.
Bye bye.